The message appeared in a family group chat at 7:42 p.m. There were 17 people in that chat: cousins, aunts, my parents, the usual stream of birthday photos, holiday plans, and forwarded jokes. But that night the tone was different. My father's name appeared at the top of the screen. "We think it's best you stay away for now." No explanation. No discussion. Just that 3 dots appeared as someone started typing, then disappeared. Then my aunt reacted with a thumbs up emoji. A few seconds later, another cousin read the message, then another. No one said anything. Have you ever watched a room go silent without hearing a single sound? I stared at the screen for a moment. Then I typed 6 calm words. "Understood. I'll respect that." Another pause. Then I added one more sentence. "And I'll stay away from the family." For a few seconds after I sent the message, nothing happened. No one rushed in to soften it. No one wrote, "That's not what we meant." The family group chat stayed exactly as it was. My father's message. My aunt's thumbs up. My reply. 3 clean lines. That was the part that hurt the most. Not the wording. The agreement. Have you ever realized a public humiliation becomes heavier when people quietly approve it? I sat on the edge of my couch with my phone still in my hand. The lamp beside me threw a warm circle of light across the coffee table, where an unopened container of takeout had already gone cold. Outside, rain tapped softly against the apartment window. Ordinary sounds. Normal evening. And yet something in my life had just shifted in a way that felt final. I read my father's message again. "We think it's best you stay away for now." That word stayed with me. Because "we" usually means discussion, a decision, agreement. But in my family, "we" often meant something else. It meant my parents deciding what felt easiest and letting everyone else adjust around it. That had always been the pattern. When my younger cousin needed a place to stay during college, my parents volunteered my old room without asking me. When my grandmother's care schedule became too stressful, somehow I was the one expected to take over weekends. When tensions started building at holidays, I was always the one told to be mature and not make things harder. Mature. That word had followed me for years. Have you ever noticed how some families only call you mature when they want you to carry more than your share? At first I wanted to call my mother privately, to ask what exactly for now meant. A week? A holiday? Forever? But then I looked at the screen again. My aunt's thumbs up reaction glowed there like a quiet verdict. And suddenly I understood something important. This wasn't confusion. It wasn't a badly worded attempt at peace. It was exclusion. Public, deliberate, meant to be seen. My phone buzzed once. A private message from my cousin Jenna. "I'm sorry you had to read that in the chat." I stared at it for a long moment. Not because it was cruel, because it confirmed what I already knew. People in the family understood exactly what had happened, and they were still choosing silence. I locked my phone and set it face down on the table. Because when a group makes it clear they want distance, there comes a point where arguing only teaches them you'll keep begging for your place. And I was too tired for that now. What I didn't know yet was how quickly they would notice the absence they had just asked for. The next morning felt strangely quiet. Not because anything dramatic had happened overnight. Because nothing had. No apology message. No explanation from my parents. The family group chat continued exactly as it always had. A cousin shared a photo of her dog. Someone posted a recipe for apple bread. My aunt sent a chain message about positive energy. As if the message telling me to stay away had simply blended into the background. Have you ever noticed how some families move on immediately after hurting someone as long as it wasn't them? I watched the messages scroll for a few minutes. Then I muted the chat. Not dramatically. Just a simple tap on the screen. Mute notifications. Sometimes distance begins with small decisions. I got up and made coffee. The smell filled the kitchen, warm and familiar. Morning light slipped through the window, catching the edge of the countertop and the stack of unopened mail beside it. Ordinary life. But something inside me had shifted during the night. Because once someone clearly asks you to step back, there are really only two choices. You fight your way back into the room. Or you respect the distance completely. And I had already told them what I would do. I'll stay away from the family. At first I thought that would be the hardest part. But it turned out the real challenge came in the quiet spaces afterward. For years my weekends had been built around family routines. Sunday lunches. Holiday planning calls. Quick errands for my parents when they didn't want to bother anyone else. Without those things, my calendar suddenly felt open. Have you ever realized how much time you spend maintaining relationships that rarely ask what you need? I started noticing small things. Saturday mornings were peaceful without the constant group chat notifications. My evenings were calmer without last-minute requests to drop by and help solve some family issue. For the first time in years, my time actually belonged to me. And slowly, something surprising began to happen. The quiet didn't feel like rejection anymore. It started to feel like space. But distance does something else too. It reveals patterns. And over the next few weeks, those patterns began to show themselves more clearly than ever before. At first, nothing changed. That was the strange part. For weeks after the message, the family group chat continued exactly the same way it always had. Photos from Sunday dinners, holiday planning, small updates about everyone's lives. Except one thing was missing. Me. No one tagged me. No one asked where I was. No one mentioned the message again. Have you ever watched people quietly adjust to someone's absence faster than you expected? The silence made something clear. The message in the group chat hadn't been written during a moment of frustration. It had been accepted. Agreed upon. That realization settled slowly over the next few weeks. Because once I stepped away, I also stopped doing something I had done for years without noticing. I stopped fixing things. No more late-night calls helping my cousin draft emails for her job applications. No more driving across town to help my parents reset their internet when the router blinked the wrong color. No more organizing birthday gifts when everyone else forgot. Small things. Ordinary favors. But families are often held together by those small things. When they disappear, the space becomes noticeable. About 3 weeks after the message, my phone buzzed while I was at work. My cousin Jenna again. You okay? I stared at the screen for a moment. Then typed back. I'm fine. Another pause. Then she sent a second message. Mom keeps asking if you're coming to Grandma's birthday dinner. I read the message twice. Grandma's birthday dinner? An event I had organized every year for the past 6 years. The cake order. The reservation. The invitations. Have you ever stepped away from something and watched people suddenly realize how much you were quietly doing? I replied simply, I thought it was best if I stayed away for now. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then Jenna finally sent one last message. Right. And that was when I began to understand something important. Sometimes the quietest response isn't revenge. It's clarity. Because the absence they asked for was now becoming real. And soon they would start noticing exactly what that meant. Grandma's birthday dinner arrived the following Sunday. Normally, by that point, my phone would have been full of reminders. Did you confirm the reservation? Don't forget Grandma's favorite cake. Can you pick up flowers on the way? But this year, nothing. No one asked. No one mentioned it. Because technically, they had already told me not to be involved. Have you ever stepped back from something and watched everyone realize they don't actually know how to replace you? That evening, I stayed home. The apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of the dishwasher and the low music playing from the kitchen speaker. Outside, the sky had already started turning dark. I wondered briefly how the dinner was going. Who had chosen the restaurant? Whether anyone remembered Grandma always preferred the small bakery on Oak Street instead of the fancy cakes my aunt liked ordering. But I didn't check the group chat. Distance means distance. Around 8:15 p.m. my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. The first one since the group chat announcement. Did you forget about Grandma's birthday? I read the message slowly. Have you ever noticed how people sometimes forget their own decisions when the consequences appear? I typed back carefully. I thought it was best if I stayed away for now. Several minutes passed. Then another message appeared. That didn't mean family events. I looked at the screen for a moment. Because that wasn't what the message had said. And everyone in that group chat had seen it. My father's words had been very simple. We think it's best you stay away for now. No exceptions. No clarification. Just distance. I placed the phone on the table and let the room grow quiet again. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Because if they wanted to change the meaning now, that meant something had already gone wrong at the dinner. Something they hadn't planned for. And suddenly I found myself wondering what exactly had happened after I stayed away. My phone buzzed again 10 minutes later. This time it was my aunt. The same aunt who had reacted to my father's message with that quiet thumbs up. Where are you? She wrote. No greeting. No explanation. Just the question. I stared at the screen for a moment. Have you ever noticed how people suddenly look for you when something stops working? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I poured myself another cup of tea and sat by the window. Outside, the streetlights glowed softly against the pavement. Cars passed slowly, their headlights sliding across the walls of my apartment. Another message arrived. You were supposed to organize tonight. Supposed to. That phrase almost made me smile. Because 2 weeks earlier the family had publicly decided I should stay away. And now they were surprised that I had listened. I finally typed back. I thought it was best if I stayed away for now. The exact words my father had used. Several minutes passed. Then my aunt replied. That wasn't meant literally. I read that line twice. Not meant literally. Have you ever watched someone try to rewrite a decision once it becomes inconvenient? I imagined the scene at the restaurant. No reservation. No cake from the bakery on Oak Street. No coordinated plan, just a group of people suddenly realizing the person who handled everything wasn't there. My phone buzzed again. This time from my mother. Grandma keeps asking where you are. That one hit differently. Because Grandma had nothing to do with the group chat message. She didn't use smartphones much. She probably had no idea any of this had happened. For a moment, I considered grabbing my coat and driving over. But then I remembered the message. 17 people had read it, and not one had questioned it. So I typed one final reply. I'm respecting the space you asked for. Then I put my phone down. Because sometimes the hardest boundary isn't saying no. It's refusing to undo the distance someone else created. After I sent that message, the group chat went quiet. Not completely. People were still sending photos from the restaurant. A picture of Grandma smiling with a paper napkin folded like a crown. A blurry shot of the table covered with plates. But something in the tone had changed. Shorter messages. Fewer jokes. The kind of awkward energy that appears when something important is missing. Have you ever noticed how silence can reveal more than arguments ever could? Around 9 that evening, my cousin Jenna called. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. Hey, she said when I picked up. Her voice sounded tired. How's the dinner going? I asked calmly. She laughed softly. Messy. That one word told me everything. No reservation, she continued. They had to split everyone across 2 tables. I imagined my aunt trying to reorganize things while the restaurant staff scrambled to help. And the cake? I asked. Another pause. They forgot. Of course they did. For 6 years I had ordered it from the same bakery, chocolate with raspberry filling, Grandma's favorite. The kind of detail people only remember when someone else stops handling it. Jenna sighed quietly. Grandma kept asking when you were coming. The part stung a little. But I kept my voice steady. I'm respecting what Dad asked. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something interesting. You know, everyone thought you would show up anyway. Have you ever realized people sometimes expect you to ignore your own boundaries because you always have before? I leaned back on the couch and looked out the window. Streetlights flickered softly outside. For once, the evening was peaceful. I'm staying away, I said gently. Not angry. Just certain. Because distance has a strange effect. It forces people to see the shape of what was quietly holding everything together. And tonight, that absence was finally becoming visible. Later that night, the family group chat finally changed. Not with jokes. Not with photos. With a new message from my father. Maybe we should talk. I read the words slowly. Just 3 simple words. No explanation. No apology. But the tone was different from before. Have you ever noticed how quickly people want conversation once silence starts revealing things? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I set my phone on the table and finished the tea beside me. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels steady instead of lonely. For the first time in years, my evening belonged completely to me. Another message appeared. This time from my mother. Grandma asked about you all night. I stared at that line for a moment. Because it was honest. And honesty had been missing from the first message they sent weeks ago. My father's message still sat above it. Maybe we should talk. The same people who had asked me to stay away were now realizing what that distance looked like in practice. Not anger. Not arguments. Just absence. Have you ever watched someone slowly understand the weight of their own decision? I finally picked up the phone and typed a reply. Of course we can talk. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. But before anyone could answer, I added one more sentence. After some time. Because distance had given me something important. Clarity. And clarity has a way of changing how you return to people. If you ever return at all. Sometimes the quietest response isn't revenge. It's simply respecting the space someone asked for until they finally understand what that space really means. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and share your thoughts below. What would you have done in that situation? Comment below.